Guess that was our minute-long song there. Hello, everybody. Welcome into Poppy's Field Project. Hello, Nova and Mariah. Today, July 1st, we're amping up for America's 250th birthday. America! Fuck yeah. So, this is Poppy's Field Project. Tune in at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and we're going to be getting in all kinds of patriotic goodness today and symbology and some of the deeper cracks and ends of what actually makes up our country's government and what kind of figures and who are they and what are they doing. And yeah, let's get into it a little bit over here and yeah, light some fireworks.
Pew
How you guys doing this week?
pew! Fireworks.
Well,
I'm
happy
doing
hump day,
alright.
everybody.
Happy hump day, everybody.
Speaking of fireworks, I just came up north and it's lush, it's green. People are lighting off fireworks. I just left Colorado, which is all on fire.
Oh my gosh.
It was so windy.
No, it's not good
and
for asthma.
everything's on fire, and I wasn't sure which like everybody's getting kind of surrounded by fires, and I mean, I don't know if that makes sense for all these fires to all ignite at once. Seems like arson, like some shady stuff going on for sure. But if you are in an area where you're on fire, you know, like
watch out.
Yeah, just stay alert on it because luckily the winds have died down a little bit, but Colorado is like all on fire. Even every time I look down from the airplane, it's on fire. It's on fire. So we need some rain in some places. And this is it's a hot time of year. And if you can light off fireworks, go for it. But if your state is on fire, don't be a dick.
Just enjoy the fireworks that are already in your backyard.
Fireworks.
No. They're like,
just,
no.
You know, well, it's going to be interesting because you guys, in the long run, you might not even like want to watch fireworks after I'm done with y'all, because I like to ruin everybody's day and their happiness. You guys know me.
Well, fireworks are better
so I've been told.
Christmas time when there's snow on the ground. Like, makes more sense anyway. When it's dark out, more so. Like I have to shade the windows. I'm up north. The sun's going to be up for quite a while. I can tell still. So yeah, welcome in everybody. This is Poppy's Field Project. We're going to talk about America Day, America's birthday. We're coming into a semi-centennial 250th birthday.
It's not the United States Day. It's America.
America. The God America.
Yeah, because you know, God forbid that there's actually like other countries attached to North America.
Or cultures like the Moors.
Or culture. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute. What do you mean we're not the only ones on the planet? Mariah?
The Earth is only 5,000 years old. We have slowly evolved, though, through millions of years. Those two are correct, right? If you believe in the lies.
Yeah. We're the only ones on this planet.
5,000 years old.
What?
Well,
you're a liar.
Well, all these empires or these nations, they rise, they fall, and they plan that they're going to have an expiration date, you know? And so they prepare for that. It's designed for this rise and for this fall. And we've talked about this many times with the Fourth Turnings and Generation books, right? That type of study. And so we're seeing the fall. And even with the boomer generation, right? They're the elders now. They are gonna they were born with like on a high, and they have slowly come down to the crisis. After the crisis, high gets to be somewhere in there again. So, or maybe at the beginning of the
end. Today is my my late grandfather's birthday and also Frank's birthday. Happy birthday, Frank and Grandpa.
Yeah, happy birthday, Frank.
Yeah, so cancer babies. And you know, also United States is a cancer baby. So we're gonna go into some astrology as well. Threw in a little bit of a tarot card in there for everybody, as of course. I'm gonna talk about some Manly P. Hall and the guy Ebenezer, which is like Scrooge, okay, who actually casted the natal chart for the United States. And so I'm gonna ruin everybody's day today. Aw, I'm gonna ruin 4th of July. I'm so sorry, but it's gonna be fun while I do it. So but I'm doing good. I'm doing good, you guys. It's actually it was like 75 degrees all day today, and if I think it's finally like 80 something, which is finally it's been really chill. They've been thank God for those seed clouds. Otherwise I just may be roasting to death because it gets pretty hot up here. 100 degrees. It's really dry. Hasn't been any rain. I think maybe it sprinkled like a few days ago, but my garden's doing great. Red, white, and blue. I got red, white, and blue in there. Well, actually, no red. So except for maybe some blood, from cutting myself because I do ritual. Ay, 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 ay! Not really, but
There you go, blood sacrifice.
because that's my 4th. Yes, blood sacrifice to the plants. I actually feel bad when I have to pull like the flowers sometimes because they're overpowering. I have buttons and chamomile growing everywhere, and I feel bad. I'm like, oh, oh. So I'm sacrificing my flowers. Poor things. I feel bad.
Yeah,
but
no,
no.
it's crisp out there. It's crisp. And you can water them all you want, and they'll still be like, why? And some of that air.
Oh, my
quality.
garden is not having a problem right now.
That's good.
I think it's that whole thing where the feminine, you give to the feminine, it will multiply, and I'm really good at that. So I'm grateful for that, and the bees and all the bugs, especially the stupid sacrificing the earwigs because they are kind of attacking some of my plants this year, but that's okay. I'll be all right. So yeah, America, fuck yeah, first world problems. We are gonna have some fun today, guys, because I love making fun of America. I mean, because it's not the United States of America; it's America. And what we're going to talk about is liberty, and we all have talked about liberty before. You guys remember what liberty means? Everybody remembers what liberty means.
Well, the live rolls.
The
So
Phrygian
it's
cap.
yeah. There's a class division, the serfs and the lords.
It's the illusion of
Yeah.
being freedom.
Under
right?
the dome.
Free domain. Uh-huh.
Freedom isn't free. We all know that. It costs $1.05 for folks like you and me. And
Now it's like
Ooh, is that a
505.
yeah, it's from Team America.
I knew it. I knew it.
It's the cowboy like sad.
My
sad ballad
favorite. We
song.
should have. If you want to, you should get that clip at the beginning when the Muslims are in America and the little French boy. I know it's not in America. They're in France, and the little French boy
Paris,
with
yeah.
his ice cream drinking, singing Sarah Jacques,
be right back.
and then he runs into him, and he's got his mouth just flies open. I love that. It just makes me laugh so hard. Which is actually not really funny because the Phoenician cult are these what are they called? Pedocracies. Anyways, yeah, it's different than it's still pedophilia, but what happens is the Freemasons of the time back in the day, I'm not going to, I'm sure it's happening today, but we all know that this is happening today. But they would have a lover child, but then they would marry like I don't know, like their sister or their sister wife or something like that, and have like a relationship, like a trilogy relationship. It's a really weird, ancient practice. So this is not anything new. It's been going on for a while.
It's not a really
so we're
good
gonna
way
kind
to
of,
spread your
I'm not
DNA,
gonna,
if you ask me.
yeah, I mean, that's what they did. That's, going back to the Game of Thrones, what the kings and queens have always done. Keep it in the family because of the law of passing. And that's one of the things that happened in the United States is when they, I think it was like the Declaration of Independence or the Bill of Rights, they put into the law that it wouldn't just go to the firstborn son, the property. It would actually be split amongst the family, the children. So that was one thing that did change, because before it was the firstborn son, and this is why women, they were considered property, which because a dowry, right? A female, it's prostitution, but this is what they do, is they prostitute their daughters out with a dowry to get rid of them. So this is kind of like how the United States kind of changed all of that, and why we're still kind of like walking on baby eggshells, fetuses. I don't know, whatever we're walking on. I mean, this is horrible. Anyway, so going back to George Washington. So George Washington, he actually was a nomad in the generations, and it was called the Libertarian Party. Liberty Party is what these guys called it, from Strauss and Howe, right? So, and if you remember, the generations after that were the hero archetypes, which is, Matthew's generation, and Mariah and I, or she's in between, and I'm in the 13ers, which is really interesting because those are the pioneers, the nomads. That's what George Washington's generation is. So that's why I put, he's there to save the motherfucking day, yeah. And so, him and George, or John Adams, excuse me, there were these rebels that fought these, the revolution and the Republic, the Republican generation, right? So and this is where it came to where the millennials will build the new nation's institutions. They served young soldiers and citizens of the new republic. And so Generation X, like from 1961 to 81, the 13ers, they were, these pragmatic survivors, and then the heroes would, where that cycle repeats every 4 generations, where they come in and they save the day. So this is, and then you have the prophets, which are what, the Alpha generation, Z, I don't know, whatever they're called, Y, X, Y, Z, Z Alpha.
Well, how does the alphabet
So-
work,
It's
right?
interesting to correlate these with
the millennials
the generation
are the
as
Y.
well, because think about
Millennials
how
are the
these
Y.
land on top of the different 20-year cycles as well, with each of Carl Strauss's generation. So Gen X is one quarter of the cycle, millennials is a quarter of the cycle, Z's is a quarter of the cycle, and so I think we, the Xers kind of saw the decay, right? That was like the decaying side of things, and then the millennials are like,
Yeah.
shit, we're left with a pile of crap, so we have to do something to change it, and then the alphas and the Z's have to build it, and then it repeats the process. That 80-year cycle that
the
Strauss
alphas, the Z's will be, they're the awakening. They are the ones that, that they are the civic builders afterwards. They're the artisans that, they're compromising. They do what they're told. They remain silent. They stay at home at their parents' house, and they're nurtured and cuddled and
The little
coddled.
turtles. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Fuzzy
these are the ones that are going to
blankets,
be,
ketamine.
unfortunately,
It's all fine.
be rebuilding. I don't know how that's going to work out when they can't even be intimate with each other. I did some statistics on the males. I apologize, I didn't do the female side. If if somebody wants to do that part, they're more than welcome. But they're finding out that these generations, like the males, are using porn so much that they find it more satisfactory than a female. And then it actually trains the brain so that they cannot
without their own
perform
hand.
sexually. Yeah. So, so anyway, so this is kind of like what
Pretty
are
bad.
what the
I
future's
think that's pretty common. There's been so much division between masculine and feminine. It's like the men hate the women and the women hate the men so much that it's like, women would rather cuddle a stuffed animal and men would rather watch porn instead of actually deal with each other. It's kind of crazy. But
well, I'm not
doesn't have
really
to be that
hating
way.
on them. It's more like just
I'm not cuddling
annoying,
a stuffed animal
over it.
over a man, though.
Like I have
Don't do
pillows,
that.
I think people are just over relationships. We've talked about relationships and how people are just like opting out of relationships. I think that's kind of
Yeah, and it happened. It happened fast. It happened fast for
yeah, it did.
the last few years. I've noticed it, and I was just like sort of a victim to it. Also, like playing into it. I was like, what? So this is how everyone's dating.
Yeah.
At first, it was all I'm poly. I have new I don't care. I'm gonna marry
Yeah,
several
still
people.
all poly.
Just fuck whatever, And then just
Polysexual,
like that,
gross.
everyone's like, nope. It's like a standoff. Like, no.
Yeah. No, over here in the Pacific Northwest, there's still a lot of polys out there, and they are not attractive. I'm like, can you at least be attractive? Then maybe it could be
They're almost like the
semi-interesting.
furries. They're basically
Yeah, the furry
furries.
ones, with the
But
beards
again,
and the
that's
bare
just
bellies.
animals.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
like I need
No.
a soft blanket in my ketamine.
No.
Baby shit. Really.
So let's go ahead and go to the next slide, because this is
Before
going
we
to
get
be.
off topic,
I don't want to. Yeah, we're gonna totally get off topic, but this is kind of like but this is part of the United States, right? This is part of the American culture that's happening right now in the United States. So as we know, supposedly July 4th is the day, but it's actually July 2nd, and then actually the last signatures were in August 2nd. So there's some hubbubaloo going on here, some Freemason, juggling with dates. As we know, calendar changes and blah blah blah. So, but this is when they, deliberately cut the cord, the umbilical cord to the United States, to the mother country, right? Great Britain. And this is when the Declaration of Independence started, with the 19th sign of Aquarius as the ascendant. This is Manly P. Hall. Okay, there's two different ones. There's two different charts. Okay, so there's the Manly P. Hall one where Aquarius. This is the spiritual one. This is the one where we're supposed to excel and be more futuristic in the aspect of enlightenment. Because as we know, what Aquarius stands for is innovation. We collaborate independently, but as a group, we're more sovereign. It's Uranus, which is the god of man, and this archetype is more about the lifeblood, the water of life of man, and how it flows and how we are connected to the mother, which is Cancer, right? Going back to Cancer, that this is where the sun is. So these two correlate with each other. And so instead we have this Sagittarius Gemini thing going on, which is masculine, and which, Aquarius is masculine as well, but Gemini is more like ego and, I know what I want and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want, in the descendant aspect, what we're relating to. And that's actually where it's in the 7th house. I have the chart up later. We can look at it later. But so anyways, I just want to talk about like Manly P. Hall's aspect of 4th of July and what it should have been. So he believes that, because of this, man pours the water in the stream of stars, right? The stream of stars, because that's what the tarot card is, which I should have put up here. I apologize. But this is the dawn of the Aquarian age, and that's what the United States was supposed to be. It was the sign of this coming race and this age. so that way, we could actually, we were a nation where we'd be excelling with, radio waves and, I mean, they're already doing it with AI, but in a really negative, not positive way. But it's airplanes, and because I was actually just thinking today, you guys, wouldn't it be nice to not ever have to drive ever again on a road? I'd love that.
If you could just teleport from one place to another, think of how much time you would save if you could just think really hard, and boom, you're there.
I'm snowboarding right now, so I can do that.
And then have a barbecue by the beach, and then go to the North Pole when it's too hot.
Yeah, and I feel like this is like that Sagittarius thing where they weren't quite ready for us to more Gemini. And, so Sagittarius is more like, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to be bold and blunt and Jupiter, right? And I'm all consuming, and I'm going to expand and be big and look at me. Look what I can do, kind of attitude. Instead of this Aquarian, which is more like, let's unite. Let's, this state of love and independence and self-efficiency, unconventionality, so this generation, of Aquarian is lacking that. We're lacking this dignity, but the elitists are using it. Okay, they're using this. All right, for their own personal thing, and they're using Sagittarius to manipulate the rest of us. Sagittarius rising. Okay. And so this is the ridicule of like the ancient acceptance of the stand-all, and where the conventionalized generations become fewer. They don't really die of old age. They're frightened, they're mortified of death. The habits. Because there's war. I mean, this is what the 4th of July and all the fireworks. And when they have a firework display, what happens to the rocket? Where does it go?
She's gone.
Well, it goes up.
And then down.
And it goes, that's the firmament. That's the firmament. It's just like when they did their whole rocket. And with the, the Disney, with the castle, and it has the star or whatever the fuck it is that goes around this.
They're showing you the dome.
It's the same fucking thing.
If you ever played with rockets,
and they're showing
in physics class, if any of you are, took physics class like me, I got an award in our rocketry because my rocket blew up, and I knew why. But I knew why. But yeah, you will. And so when they, when people are watching these rockets and NASA take off, they're going at an angle, right? And then where?
Yes.
Just off into the sunset.
Well, it's also, off to the sunset, which is the west, which is what? The womb. And this is, they're penetrating the mother. Okay, it's a ritual. It's planting a seed and, a birthing ritual or an impregnation ritual. And so millions of us get together and participate in the death cult of America during this time. Yeah, see, I told you I was going to ruin everybody's good time here. But let me continue with that.
Well, people like penetration. So they like penetration.
Yeah,
it's still a good story.
They do. They like to bend over and be blessed. They love blessings. I was having this argument with blessings the other day. It literally means to bend and bow, and it has to do with the Sephardic.
I have some
sketch
Jews, comedy for you then. Pedophiles. Oh my goodness! Right, bend on over.
So yes. So this Uranus planet, the sun expected, Uranus is like this. It's the nervous system. It's this. It's mystical. It's excitable, right? And it's also controlled and self-controlling. So you're looking at the United States as man is coming into its majority demonstrating. I call it demonstrating because it's demonstrating. The beyond the doubt of influence of the celestial bodies which culminate this nativity. So the 4th of July, here we go. let's go ahead and continue with whatever. If you guys want to comment, please just interrupt. But I'm ready for the next slide. So, yeah, whenever you're ready. I don't know if you're there, Mariah, but so the American founders believe that the rights come from God. That's what their intent was, or what they said their intent was. But which God is that? Well, the French seem like, or it was Attis, because that's what the Statue of Liberty is. We all know that is a Phoenician cult of a Mithra cult as well, of a castrated male. And so we all wonder what was happening with the males today. So we've talked about this before. If you don't mind going to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. So the prosperity follows with the power, where the small government, God-given rights of morality, which I don't believe in morality whatsoever, and values. I think it's a religious construct. But also, having, a stable currency, private property, minimal taxes is what, for them, right? For them, it was, if you look at the Constitution, or the Declaration of Independence, it says man. It doesn't say women and children. It doesn't say human, but it literally, back then, when they said man, supposedly it meant humanity. Okay, they put it in like as an everybody, but yet they still had slaves. So this is what the opposite of whatever the Illuminati was doing, the Red Revolutionaries and the advocacy. So that, this etymology of men versus mankind, all men were created equal, was written by Thomas Jefferson in the Declaration and the Bill of Rights. And these linguistic contexts of the 18th century English, man was like I said, man or mankind or humanity. So Jefferson and many other enlightened philosophers, they use this to use the legal and political application, where it actually excluded women and children in these enslaved people and non-property owners. Because women were legally covered under the doctrine of coverture, where women's legal rights were subsumed by those of her husband upon the marriage, right? So this is not considered independent at all. But yet, here we are, 4th of July, independence. But this is not, this is like a rational capacity of citizenship of voting, where slaves were legally classified as property, and 3/5 of persons or consensus were, were explicitly denied rights of men. So it doesn't really make too much sense, but I think they were kind of trying to figure it out, and they weren't really succeeding too well. If you're ready to go ahead and go to the next one.
They were just trying to really get away from their oppression. I mean, that's kind of, when you think about the founding of almost any country, that's kind of the beginning of a lot of them, is just breaking free from whatever they were in before. And I mean, the Pilgrims and such were running away from religious oppression and, wanted to form a colony. And so humble beginnings turn into empires later on down the road.
Well, you're right, because these founding fathers were Freemasons, most of them, if not all of them. And so they had the ancient knowledge that was taken from Great Britain, right? Because it was happening there. And they were like, well, we're going to do it our way. But we're not going to share all that information, because why? Well, the people that started coming over were running also from that DNA, because it's literally DNA, right? Everybody that came over here was still usurped underneath the law of man, legalese system over there. And so they were corrupted. And so they're like, well, we're going to keep it to ourselves and blah, blah, blah. And this is why, they kept the information between men, because they were like, well, it's our duty to like protect the men and women, blah blah blah, or the women and children, and to get them to abide by whatever, because we're the ones in law. We don't want women in law, So
there's a lot of
go ahead.
holes.
Do you have something
To me, there's a lot of holes in this story by Ball. Right? Well,
Yeah.
it's a holy story written by Ball. And so those and what sucks is like the whole message has been hijacked and inverted. And so whenever we're like questioning this book, it's because it's been
Well, why do you think they wanted to do remove, separate church and state? Because the Bible actually has something to say that, actually had meaning behind it, but it was all babble.
Yeah, babble. And that's even an app for you to learn different languages, because remember the Tower of Babylon? They're building it again. Isn't it Japan building a tower to space, or at least to the ionic sphere? So, we can't go really. I don't think we can go much past where that space station is.
I don't think there's any construction projects going to space.
Just illusions.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, because it's just literally the only reason why they did it this last time is to again penetrate and do a ritual
with a big old dick. Oh yeah.
Yeah, a big one.
A big one.
The biggest one they could find.
And then
they could have made a bigger one, but losers.
And the worst pictures of the dark side of the moon ever. Like, come on. Like, wow us if you're gonna make it fake. Yeah.
So going into religion now, there's this guy named Reverend Mr. Taylor. He actually was terminated before the next publication of this work on the 4th, July 4th, and they were trying to figure out whether or not there was going to be a free public discussion on religious subjects to be tolerated, talking about church and state. And they were talking about like, where was this really blasphemy or imputation or cruelty? And for example, the instance of Society of Ignorant Fanatics, right? Because that's really what if you look at the United States, a lot of Republicans or liberals, they are idiots. They're completely, on one side or the other, and really extremist. And they would never risk their own selves, right? For especially when it comes to criticism, they're like, oh my God, they point fingers. Like once you come up with like actual facts about something and research, they get defensive immediately, instead of like coming back with like an intelligent like rebuttal or something, right? No. So this is where it started to get mistranslated, and where the highly paid indoctrinations, right? Because that's what the Bible is. It was indoctrination, because it was totally to the point where you had to know symbolism to read it and understand its occult wisdom and use it in the right way. So this became like the club of law, where the sword of justice became a stiletto, for an assassin. And what they would call freebooters, which is like the aid of the law of the land, and they would punish people that for peace, for their places of worship. Well, for good reason. I mean, because these places, they have usually sign an oath to the Catholic pedophilia church and the government, and that they have to say certain things to manipulate you, and instead of the actual law of the land. And so Galileo and Copernicus, they were sanctioned by the law of the land as discoverers and persecutors of the wizards and witches, which held these guiltless and victims of bigotry after a mock trial, which is the Puritanian jury. And they hung the fuck out of these people. They hung them. They burned them alive. And this is all by the name of who?
Off of their head.
Christ, right?
Yeah,
and this is not too long ago.
The loving Christ.
The loving Christ. And
if
people
you
will defend to this day.
Different than the rest of the sheep. That's like the pecking order. This is what chickens and sheep do, and like a lot of these animals in captivity, right? That's what they'll do. Like, oh, you're different. And so a lot of these like witch hunting, I just watched The Burning with a bunch of like herbalists when I was in Wisconsin. It's a good one, but they would like this. I mean, I'm in a small town in Colorado, and I feel like there's been a little bit of a witch hunt, almost where they would seclude somebody and they would just attack one person for being different and publicly hang them. And this was encouraged. Like, what kind of way to bring community together? Way to and all it was fear-based. And at this time, a lot of the men were dying, and the women were like choosing, just like sort of now, we're choosing to. They were having to be independent. They were working together. They were making medicine. They were healing and helping people, and yet they weren't. Weren't controlled by a man. They were controlled by the church, and so they were a problem. But yet,
and so she was a witch.
Yeah, but yet they were outnumbering the men, and the men weren't saving them at the time. The men were being weakened, and these are cycles. And so
the same thing's happening right now.
Right now,
same thing's happening right now, and it's actually happening like in Telegram, like where I'm in this chat where there's some Christians, and they call me a witch. Some of them. There's a couple men in there that call me a witch, or one in particular.
We're hedge witches,
and I'm like,
we are in between the
I'm like
physical.
And I literally said, if this guy would actually hang me if he could. Because he doesn't understand what actual cultism means.
Their own personal power, and they have to look outside of themselves to find it, and all they're finding is demonic, inverted.
Well, this is what happens with the church, and what the church did is it became to where the government, and its former adjudicator, as far as like proclaims the political connection, now, withstanding where Earl Grey actually is not just a T, it's an actual person. Like where there was this inquiry of this saintly majesty's ministry where he was to aid the established church with, as the government. And so he would continue to like actually support the church, and he ended up becoming the superior merit of his religious instruction based on, scaring the living daylights out of these uneducated retards, that call me witch, but yet have nothing to rebuttal at all. Like they have nothing to stand on. Like they don't even know what the Bible says. They just come back and go, oh, you just say things about the Bible. I'm like, well, can you actually give me a Bible story?
That's what people do, is they tend to follow, and 9 out of 10 people are going to follow what their parents did or what the community is going to do, and most people get content with that, and they'll literally just walk off the edge or do accusations just because that's what their neighbor does or what everybody's been telling them. But a lot of people don't really question things unless they're forced into a corner or forced into a situation where they're uncomfortable, and it's it's very ancient, and it still happens to this day too, because humanity is somewhat predictable in terms
but it's not as much. It is actually it's turning now. It's actually the opposite. There are more of us than them now. And if there are more of them, they're silent. They don't say anything. Or that, because, I mean, look at, they fucking killed philosophers. They imprisoned people for having wealth. They created fucking famine. Christians created famine. Okay, these fucktards that went around killing everybody.
The Crusades.
Yes.
You
Like, they
like
literally-
that's shoving their god down other people's throats with a sword.
Well, it's not even like a god. It's like their god of, it's like death, you know? And this fear that, you know, it's, and again, it's in this DNA that came from Britain, I guess, and probably some other cultures.
Ooh,
I mean,
yeah,
because look
and
at
you,
the, you know, the Irish
okay,
that were slaves that were put into slavery here, you know,
and they're all
and
really
as
good
children.
Catholic Christians, aren't they? They're
Yeah.
afraid to
And
go
just like you'll
against.
see in Brazil, people in Brazil, and it's actually the Sephardic Jews from Spain. Those motherfuckers are the fucking problem. It's most Jews are not the problem. It was Sephardic Jews in Spain, and I know I've talked to you guys about this as a personal, because I've dated
The conquistadors.
a Spanish,
The
a conquistador,
conquistadors.
and they are fucking out. Like, their family is so fucking fucked up. Like, they're so egotistical and think they're better than everybody. Like, it really blew my mind, like how snobby they were. And I was like, wow, they actually were a part of this Phoenician Sephardic Jews. I bet you anything from Spain, because I remember the stories of like his cousin was molested by one of the family members, and I'm sure that there were other ones that had come over from Spain and were molesting their children and probably keeping the bloodline going within their own family. Okay, this is what they were doing. So
Can't get
so
over
anyway,
that.
so this is the whole. Yeah.
Imagine being an
so
arranged
anyways-
marriage to get married to your cousin. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Fuck that. So this reforming pure, like, where there's the suffering, where the law officer of the crown, you know, whether there was an opinion or not, to prosecute this Reverend Robert Taylor in the name of King of for the blasphemy that he was developing this truth that, you know, this indictment was actually to say that the scandal to Almighty God was a contempt of the Lord, the King, and the evil example to all of his liege subjects. Well, in my opinion, you know, there should have been no separation in church and state, because they were one and the same, and they fucking manipulated it, and they should have taught us what the actual Bible said. So that's my piece on that. I don't know what you guys feel about that.
Well, I also think that
I'm-
I like, for serious people reading this book couldn't understand a lot of it. A lot of it is magic. A lot of
Right.
it's
That's why they needed to
astrology.
teach us.
Like, I don't know, maybe it
Yeah.
means this. Sounds good to me, George. Let's write that down. What do you guys think this means? Good enough for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they even now when I point out that a lot of it have to do with the Solomon temple is your physical body, the chakras, that, you know, physiological part. And so many people are like, I don't want to hear it. Like, but these are the clues. This is the code that Jesus is trying to tell you. If you don't have a clean vessel, you can't ascend, because you can't let in the light. You can't move past the lower chakras. And that's like what this whole establishment is trying to keep us in, the lower chakras and lower frequencies. And have this Bible. The first thing, it's the first part of it is, I spoke the world into existence. That's abracadabra.
Yeah,
That's just magic
the word,
right there.
right?
That's
The
the
logo.
And it's okay. It's
There.
not bad. Magic isn't bad. It's miraculous. Like Steve was talking about this morning.
Right.
If you guys were listening to him wake up, and I was like, nobody uses that word miraculous, but think about that. That is like, that could be miracles, but like real. Yeah, there's magic, but the miracles do happen because of some sort of mystic magic.
Well, it's
right?
the ark. It's the ark that we were talking about with
Trying
the
to
rockets, the rocket ships, and the Disney ark, the mirror ark. You know, if you look at the word miracle, miraculous, right? So, I mean, that makes sense to me. But, you know, it's this weird Phoenician cult that has been implanted instead. And I know that Mariah's got something here she's wanting to pull up. She got a book or something. Did you get a book?
Oh, right. No, I was actually, well, I could. My mom has all her books back here. But,
Oh, I wasn't sure what you were doing. I thought you were getting.
No,
like,
all my
a book or something.
cords were just tangled up. Sometimes.
Okay.
What kind of book? I got some. She's got
No,
some.
no,
good ones.
I thought you were going to go get a book.
Angel medicine here.
From the source.
Yeah, she's got some good ones because she's been writing her own Bible studies and really kind of decoding the Bible and decoding
Right.
the chapters in the books that have been eliminated. So that's pretty rad. She does have good research library over here. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to.
No worries. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready for the next slide.
Yes.
So going back into Manly P. Hall and his esoteric history of this malevolent plot of the Phoenician cult, where women and children, but rather this reflection of like this limiting, giving people the actual initiation to the Bible that we were just talking about. Is it frozen?
Yeah. Oh, so sorry.
Fucking motherfucker, man.
I know I have somebody gets.
I don't know if maybe he's in the background. If you want to text him to see if he's in the background, then maybe you can refresh it and get it started. Anyway, so the natural aspect to the founding fathers, this aristocracy, right? Aristocrats. They were Freemasons, and they believed that they had this virtue and talent, and they feared that everyone else, including the uneducated. Well, the word uneducated means educere in Latin, which means like you are controllable. But educare is the one where you actually take care of yourself and you are, sovereign, which I was like, whoa, that's cool. I like that because we are educated underneath their system, but we need to have educare for ourselves. And this is where they understood that, that because these women and children would lead to like a mob rule and the destruction of the republic, and they viewed that the brotherhood was this guiding elite, and that the power wouldn't leak it out to the masses. So it's literally the Republicans, the Democrats, they are all just in bed. They are the elite, okay, and they run the corporations, or the corporations run them. And so, because they're probably just handlers a lot of them. And
this
so,
kind of been in the more modern times too, because it was more of a political thing up until recently. I mean, it becoming a corptocracy was a little more of a modern aspect that came in because the power shifted. People started to say, oh, politics is bullshit. We're putting our money where the mouth is, and that was corporations. Corporations were going out in space and mining things and creating infrastructure and such, and so the power shifted
data mining
from politics to corporations. And so we saw.
Well, it's interesting that you say mining, because now they're doing data mining, which is in the air, which is that's that celebration of the Independence Day, up in the air, versus gold and silver, which is underground mining, which is Pluto.
I declare we have to put a pendants in. No, they like to just own everything and sell everything and play
Plant their
Battleship
seed everywhere.
chess. But so like even the air has been sold, and like they're playing their own game up in the atmosphere.
They're seeding it. They're seeding the air
with their gross, exactly, right?
Cloud seeds.
Especially,
and so this is where these founders did this whole all men are created equal, but that was supposed to be intended to grow over time, but they ended up putting in the wrong zodiac, and this is what we've been living off of. So that's what my theory is, and I'm pretty fucking sure I'm right, because Manly P. Hall knows his shit. Okay, he's not a Freemason; he's just an occult specialist. He knows his shit. He fucking like is really good at it. And you know what? Occult again just means good or evil.
Well, just hidden.
Or good or evil people. Well,
it's hidden
no, what I
knowledge,
meant,
really.
hold on. What I meant is it's not good or evil. It's good or evil that uses occult wisdom. Okay? And it's just like a knife. If you have a knife, I'm going to either use it as a tool or I'm going to use it to kill you. You know, to defend myself or for evil, okay? Or to cut, you know, something in my garden. Or some vegetables. So, you know, it's all about this, you know, being able to discern. And, you know, so what they were anticipating was hopefully that there would be maybe this, you know, maybe this growth where, you know, we'd start to compromise, you know, where slavery, you know, of the patriarchy would actually maybe dissipate, but it's not. We still are in this. It went there for a second, but then Franklin Delano Roosevelt, you know, sold us out, and we all got the birth certificate. And so it's this subsequent struggle of women's suffrage in civil rights, you know, where the nation was starting to wake up and, like, you know, actually its true meaning of the secret plan was this counter argument. And where, you know, many critics will argue that this brotherhood intentionally created a system of hierarchy control, you know, of man to maintain power to the select few, and, you know, which is, you know, white property owning males, which, you know, exploiting women and children and slaves as the economic social resources. And so this illusion of money and social distraction, like porn and junk food, is this modern tool to keep the majority pacified, and having us fight against each other going, it's man's fault, it's women's fault, it's man's fault, it's women's fault. No, I'm literally just pointing out
between the generations, and even, right? It's the boomers, right. It's millennials, it's like
right 100%. And I'm literally just pointing out the facts, and people will jump up and say, oh my God, women are fucking horrible. They fucking cheat. They lie. Blah. I'm like, oh my God, where is this coming from? Can you actually put into, like, context and proof? Like, can you give me the facts behind that this is what women are doing? Then I will listen to you. I don't want to hear your, like, your injury. Okay. I want to hear, like, what your remedy is. You know, I'm just showing what's happening, you know, and that's it. I'm not pointing, and I get it. The males are out there are hurt, man. They're hurt, and I get it. But you know what? Women have been hurt for a very long time, and we've had to suck it up, buttercup, for too long. And now we're actually saying something about it. And we're fucking witches? Okay, I'm good with that.
All over again.
I'm good with that. But you're not going to burn me this time.
Then you're going to kill off the magical ones.
Yeah, you're going to end up, like, you know,
that's what you boys want,
still bearded
you
and with
the witchy girls. You want to be the witchy girls, and
yeah, you want to be
have
with
us,
them, but you can't.
You will kill us instead.
Yeah. And hey, you will take this personally if you think I'm talking to you, because there's a lot of men in the world that are men, but there's a lot of man babies that take this stuff personally because they don't feel good about themselves, and I get why, and I feel for you guys, because there's a lot of work that you need to do.
If you protect the women,
there's been a lot of work.
We shower the abundance, but we can't if we're not protected.
Yeah, exactly. We need containment. And so when we're not contained, like I'm contained right now, that's why my fucking garden is multiplying. Can you imagine, like, if I had someone that was like, that actually wanted to do something, I would multiply it. Any woman can multiply if you just contain her and treat her with,
yes,
you know, with honor.
All
and,
your dreams,
you know,
we can help you
dignity.
make that come true. But
and you don't sit there and work
with us.
Well, my whole point is that instead of working a 9-to-5 fucking job, enslaving away, and then coming home and saying, I'm too tired to, like, you know, actually love you and pay attention to you or give you any kind of containment and leadership, you do it. She's going to turn into the masculine, and you're going to hate her for it. And then she's going to leave you for another man and cheat on you. That is
Because
a
you
fact.
turned into
That
the
is why
woman
it
of
happens.
the relationship and became the bitch.
Right. And so what happens is if men decided to get out of the workforce and start creating with their families and with their people and their communities, they wouldn't have that fucking problem. Because you would be working together with her to create something instead of going, I want to do what I want.
Step,
Go ahead,
for a lot
Matthew.
of people to step up to that, especially men, you have to commit to a different lifestyle. If you've been raised in the nuclear family and told that's what you need to do, it's going to be very challenging if you've chosen that route. It takes some radical shifting in your life to actually be able to be like, all right, I'm going to take everything I knew and throw it in the trash and try to start anew. And I think a lot of people are scared of that because, to people like us, that seems pretty easy. We're all pretty fluid and dynamic, and we could, hop up and do whatever we needed to do. But a lot of people, they're scared to shit.
They couldn't.
And so they have to get over the fear.
They wouldn't know what to do.
Mommy.
They wouldn't know how to build a fire without a lighter.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most basic fucking things that you need to have. Yeah. So again, I'm not picking on you guys. I'm just calling it out like it is. And you don't like the truth? Not my problem. You got to work on yourself.
Society has made, both women to be where we're not supposed to be, right? And same with the men. So we could work together to rebalance it, but not if we're gonna fight each other now, because it's magnetic, right? We live in this magnetic reality, and I'm gonna talk about that coming up here with CERN. CERN is all about that magnetic energy, and so this chemistry, the magnetic, we either work together and we attract or we repel, and we're kind of at that repel. So we have to work on creating that magnetic chemistry between the two bonds.
Right.
Yeah, our thoughts are electric, and our feelings
go
are
to the
magnetic.
next slide, because it has the devil card, which has the feminine and the masculine that are chained and enslaved to the devil and aren't really paying attention when they could be actually, the devil, he's like Baphomet, which is not a bad thing, okay? Because the goat head is literally the fallopian tubes. Okay, it's the truth. And it's considered a connection to the higher self. That's why he is in this higher self. But these two beings are so conflicted with each other that they don't even care that there's they're linked by chains, which are the elite and the drugs and the job that you must make $1 million. And if a woman makes more than you, then you should feel bad about yourself because you're no longer the provider. I mean, come on, are we really going to stay with this old dynamic? It's been ingrained for so long. I get why it's hard to get out of it, but it's time to step into your actual real truth. Because most guys at this time, they are so depleted with trying to keep up with the Joneses and their bling 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 and all their toys, but at the end of the day, they're burnt out and they can't be a partner with someone, and which is lead, so that the feminine can open and multiply for you. Because if you just led in and contained her, you wouldn't have to do half of the shit you're doing right now. That's what's so silly about it, but nobody's taught anybody about this stuff. So this whole corruption of the mystery schools in general is based on the July 4th and this date that they picked by this stupid Nebuchadnezzar, whatever the fuck name, I can't say it right now. But this is the distinction between the aristocracy and the oligarchy, and where you have this concept of the occult, pedocracy, right? Where we're going to molest children and and not have any kind of fault. But we worship these people. We do what they say, okay, by paying their taxes. And this is that corruption of this priesthood that Hall explicitly taught, that the priesthood or secret society falls into this corruption and ceases to the guardian wisdom of the black magic instrument of control. And the warning here is that the mystery schools and the invisible government, Hall actually wrote about where the lower order of the disciples fall into this corruption and their unholy alliance with the ruling class, which most of you are following right now. Okay, and I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying that's what's happening because we're not all quite aware yet, and we're not ready maybe, and that's okay. It's okay to not be ready, but it's just to be aware and like what's coming next. What can we do next? Because if we continue to like follow this pedocracy and like say, oh, well, pedophilia is wrong. Well, why are we following them? Because Hall would argue with you that if this Phoenician cult is exacting or existing today, which we all know, and is engaging in exploitation of children, this is the ultimate degeneration of ancient mysteries. The true mysteries are to protect the young and the initiated into wisdom. And this corrupted version is the complete exact opposite, and it's enslaving the young to sustain the power of the degenerate elite, because they're degenerates and there are not very many of them, but everybody wants to get paid. Okay, everybody wants their coin. And so this whole parasitic distortion of this aristocracy and oligarchy uh, between the two, where there's the wise and then the few that are wealthy and selfish. And then the verdict literally is that this pedocratic cult is the darkest form of oligarchy. It's the darkest. And this, when this group rules not by virtue or divine light, it's a secret crime of wealth, leverage, blackmail, and exploitation of the vulnerable. And where are the men at? Where are you guys at in all of this? Are you victims? Are you scared? Are you confused? I know that I get it, man. I feel that. I feel it every single time I talk with you guys. I'm in the same space with you. And all I can do is send love and say a few things about it. Because nobody else I mean, there's a few men out there that are saying it, but not very many. Not very many are stepping into this role. And actually, Poppy's Field Project, we are starting on Thursdays on Telegram at 11 p.m. Pacific time, where men are going to be leading God's law workshops. So if you want to be a participant in that and you want to be a leader and you want to be a man that wants to participate or learn how to like get your power back, I highly suggest start coming in and start reading and start, grouping with these men. And women are welcome as well, because we're all in this together. This is not just a man thing, but I'm asking the men to step in and start, the elders to help lead the young men in the world that know what they're doing. And I have had some people that really amazing people, the male friends on Telegram that I've met that are men, and they're amazing. So I hope that you'll join us. But this whole, going back to this whole like claim of this Phoenician Baal worship, this power criminal, it's this mask, it's this occult symbolism of moral bankruptcy. And that's, you're not the debtor. They're the ones that are the debtors. And they've made you into one, into this slave system. And it's Hall's view believes that this corruption was intentionally kept by the masses to, this educare, to the ignorant, the educate, to prevent them from realizing their own the division of the Educere, their potential. And this modern enslavement of beer, porn, junk food, like it's over, and women are done with it. We're done. And that's why it's not working out anymore. It's not working because we don't want this shit. And we've been asking you guys to step up and become unified with us once and fucking for all. Because we love you unconditionally, sometimes conditionally, because we're fucking like, we've had to step into the mother role and we do not like it. We don't want to be your mothers, man. It sucks. So this fate, of this cult that whole ultimately, was optimistic about this long-term history of the Aquarian age and this truth, this inevitable collapse. He taught that civilizations were built on corruption will always collapse because they lose touch with the natural law. It is collapsing today as we speak. Data centers are coming up in your neighborhood. And what is happening? Are you just going to stand by and let it happen and let everyone die? Because there is no courage, no honor in human life forms anymore. This is a call to action. Hall would actually advocate. He wouldn't advocate for conspiracy theories. He would lead to despair. He would urge individuals to become awake and reject the slave training, the media education, these complexes, and rebuild a true, I can't say the word, aristocracy of like virtue within yourself. And the secret to destroy these societies is to outgrow. Stop being afraid of what could happen. It doesn't matter what's going to happen because you're just energy and light and love. You're not this human form. I know we're all afraid because of what we feel in the collective and what we've all been through. And we've all been tortured and raped and, deceived so hardcore by ourselves. In a mass amount. And this is that black magic that we have looped ourselves into, this inversion of the mysteries that is destined to fail. If humanity awakens to this divine potential, it could possibly actually it will get out of it if we all just fucking decided to walk away from this bullshit, the Baal shit, the babble of the Bible that they have deliberately put you all through. So, go ahead. I know I said a lot there. We can continue unless you guys have something to say. But this mystery school, this corruption, this priesthood, we have to do something about it. And, the mystery schools, that's what we are. That's what the Poppy's Field Project is. It's a mystery school. And if you fall for the lower order of these disciples continually, this is just going to get worse. And this unholy alliance of this ruling class, of the pedophiles. I mean, do we really want to go out knowing that we supported pedophiles and didn't know what to do about it? Is that is that an honorable death? Is this parasitic distortion? Anyway, so yeah, this is like where we need to come across and start to are we going to stop being, because look at all these pedophiles, they got blackmailed. And that's why they're all afraid. Everybody that's signed up for any kind of Hollywood film or contract with famous records, record labels or movies or politicians, they all made these contracts. And they've all been underneath the pedophile elite of, and they have their pictures, they have their names, they have all of these criminal syndicates have been wearing a mask of antiquity when we are the ones that should be initiated and actually standing up for God's law, not man's law. So, this whole purpose of this enslavement, this is what the 4th of fucking July is. It literally is. It's this cult.
Our forefathers, our lords, right? So whenever you can see Lord, maybe even that Bible, what are they talking about? Because we're not supposed to use Lord for God, the divine. A Lord is like a slave lord to me. I always think of like a robot slave lord.
Yeah, it is. 100%. They're the ones that that are working for the king. They suck the king's
lords
cock.
then also enslave the serfs, so they're just trickling down. They're one step, they're a little higher than the slaves. They're still, and you see this now when people think that the government's in charge. They're just puppets and actors.
Go ahead and go to the next slide
because up and up.
Because you'll see what she's talking about. These are your lords. No, not sorry. The next one. These are your lords.
Yeah. The Oreo Lord, of course. Because once you start popping those things, you can't stop.
Yep. And this is your declaration of independence, is bowing by being blessed. Blessed means to bow, to bend down, to be lowered.
At the altar. To bend over an altar. Not even to just bend over a couch or a table to get a nice little but to bend over an altar where blood should be shed. Ew.
Yeah.
But for real.
Yeah.
Sodomy.
And so this insistence that this 19th degree is celebrated on the 4th of July reactivates this specific astrological configuration where fireworks, and where your nervous system starts to get celebrated here. This mirror of the Uranian energy, the sudden chaotic electric chaos that rules Aquarius, this mysterious stranger where there's this secret destiny for us that we have, not this fate that we've been put into with this false, stupid July 4th, 5:10 p.m. Sagittarius crap. That now I'm going to go into that a little bit more, but this is where a reenactment where you intended like to renew the pact between people and the secret destiny. So, he believed that the exoteric version of the ancient fire ritual, that's what the stars mean. That's what the whole firework display is this purification and the ascent of the spirit. And that's what, it's the birthday of this mass purification, this national aura of liberty, which is a free slave. Regarding your concerns about because we're all concerned about pedophiles. I know not one of us is in here is like, yay, pedophiles. No, but this is high magic versus black magic, people.
Maps.
Okay.
Call them maps.
Maps. What do you mean maps? Oh, like a magic?
No, that's what they that's the term they prefer. Almost like
pedophiles, Namblas.
Yeah, sort of like what I don't even I've already erased this from my memory, but yeah, maps is like minor. What is it?
Well, there's Nambla.
Yeah. Oh, Nambla. Yeah. Maps didn't take off as well as Nambla because Nambla is like a club. Anyway, yeah. I have a feeling all this children and human trafficking has a lot to do with a lot of this food.
Yeah.
And the Olympics we've already talked about. Yeah, where
baby back
they're
ribs.
The gladiators. Nobody gets paid. They and they bring the whole world. And I wonder why the World Cup and aren't the Olympics in the United States too? They're trying to show everybody it's not that bad here before they F us. This is what happened with Germany. Right before they slaughtered and World War II really took off. They're like, hey, Olympics, come here. And everyone's like, no, we went to Germany. Well, I didn't see anybody killing anybody. I have. My spider senses are up. So again, they're bringing everybody here, which is great. A lot of people came to maybe this country for the first time when we weren't in lockdown. We're not on, we're not getting bombed, but there's something coming up. That's why I feel all these games are here. And throughout time, all the games again are entertainment for them, but it's to bring people and to catch that loosh.
Yeah. It
Just
is.
keep
Welcome
them
back,
fed
Matthew.
and dumb and entertained, and they'll do whatever you want.
USA.
Yeah, bye.
USA. You know,
USA.
The
USA.
idiocracy is coming true more and more every single day.
well,
When I
and this,
did the that run, that my first 5K in New York City, there was some I believe they were firemen, because most of them, not all of them were firemen, but there were a group of males that were running, and they were like, USA, USA, USA in the tunnel. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. That was the one for the towers, the Twin to Towers, or Tunnel to Towers, 5K that I did. And this is like, this is literally the distraction, this spectacle, these parades of weapons. Like, this is the castration of your spirit, connecting to that, earlier point about Addis and emasculation. Hall actually argues that the modern celebration castrates the true revolutionary spirit of the nation. And by profound astrological event, a party of beer and fireworks, the cult ensures population remains a state of perpetual childhood, pedocracy. And we're unable to access the mature uranium wisdom acquired to overthrow the enslavement. So if we continue to celebrate these things and share this to our family, down to the lineage of your line, it's just going to continue. And it's that son of the sacrifice of the first son. It's been happening forever. So this is like, we have the potential to turn this around to the Aquarian energy, which is the strongest offering individual, as far as like true freedom and the secret, because we are in the age of Aquarius, and it is coming. We have that decision. It is here right now at our doorstep, and it's going to get shittier and shittier, and that's okay. But but right now, it is currently being used, this oligarchy, because if you look at the chart, go ahead, if you can, please go to the next one, Mariah, if you're there. The chart, and I know that you also want to say something about Uranus, but the chart here is very heavy on the one side. And this is where you can see where the nervous system of Gemini and Leo is imbalanced. Okay, is imbalanced for us right now. And the reason, I'll get to that here in just a moment. But this is where that slave system, where we start to reclaim the ritual consciously, to use it, because it doesn't mean you can't go out and like you have to stop. It's just but now you're not blind to the celebration. You can actually meditate the unfinished pyramid that is recognizing that there's a great work for the United States to do that is incomplete, and that we have forgotten what that philosophical purpose is, and what the new next birth is. And so Sibley is the guy, the Ebenezer dude. He was a part of the Brotherhood. Okay, I believe it was like 1787 when he did this chart, and he was connected. He was the Sun Master of the Lodge of the Japa number 188. There's that 88. Fucking keeps coming up. He was a Freemason, and he was prominent in the documented as far as a high-ranking, like Thomas Dunkley. And historians argue that he likely received the secret time of the signing through Masonic channels from figures like Benjamin Franklin, John Hancock, and George Washington, who were all Masons. And this symbolic chart, many research included the analyzation of the original engraving, argued that Sibley's chart with the Sagittarius rising was meant to astronomically be accurate, but symbolically or electronical chart designed by the Brotherhood. So they deliberately made this chart, and it has been precise to this day. Why? Because there has been war, there has been bloodshed, and we have not been touched, because Jupiter rules this chart because of the rising sign of Sagittarius. That's what rules Sagittarius is Jupiter. And so this original engraving that is actually for the 4th of July is this ritualistic blueprint, not the actual historical record. And so when you look and you zoom in, you look over here, you have the 3 houses. You have Gemini, Cancer, and Leo are the main ones, okay, that are, or I mean, Leo's kind of there. It's where the North Node is. But these are where's the heart? Where do you guys know where the heart is
Well,
in the
Leo,
chart?
Leo rules the heart, and Jupiter is about to travel into Leo this July. Yeah.
So what is the number 1 killer in the United States?
Heart disease.
Heart disease.
Suddenly dead.
Yes. So this
when you look at like
in the 8th house.
The Eastern perspective on the heart is more important than the brain, and like the brain's not even recognized as a part of the body, really. Well, that's not true. It's more. It's a lot less superior than the heart. Like the heart is where it's at, and it makes sense. Like we've forgotten a lot about our heart because of the way our cultures defined success. You know,
it's weak to have a soft heart, right?
Success is to trample over your competition, and so we lack that heart-centered aspect. Well, not everybody, but you know, a lot of people in general.
Okay, so what is the second disease that kills the most?
I think it's respiratory or cancer.
Cancer. Huh. How convenient.
We're in Cancer.
It's got, look at that stellium in Cancer. In what? The 7th house of marriages. Destroy the marriage. Yes? Destroy the marriage. Don't support it. Destroy it. It's got Jupiter, Mars, Venus in there. In the 7th house. Not all in Cancer, but most of it. And then what is the most reason for all of this? What does the nervous system, what is that controlled by?
Well, the nervous system, it's controlled really by
Gemini.
Gemini. If we do not control our nervous system, we're aft. Yeah, we're aft.
And all of these are a part of why the United States has these top things and why we're all fucking pill poppers for anxiety and depression.
Yes. They're attacking our nervous system. They're attacking our hormones. They're attacking they're attacking our 3 main brains, our mind, right, and our brain. Kind of same and different, right? Because one is the physical, one is the antimatter, the feminine side of it, and then the heart pumps. When the heart pumps, like that moves the lungs even, and that pumps our vital force, which is our blood and our plasma. It pumps all the oxygen. And then our gut is the 3rd one. Yeah, our nervous system, my nervous system is shot. I abused it, but this year has been shot. I've had what's called, I know what a burnout is. I finally burned out.
It's through our relationship. It's through this.
The men I date have destroyed my nervous system. I let them. It's
the 6th and 7th house, and the 6th house rules your health, your body, and then the 7th house is relationships.
And the 6th house is Virgo. And
I'm not blaming men, but I have to say with Mariah that my nervous system is shot because I have been attacked so many times by men, and I have not been contained until like the last 7 years of my life, where I can actually finally relax and not have to worry about being attacked by a masculine or a feminine male. Not a masculine male, because a masculine male would never attack a woman, ever. He would contain her. He would allow her to explore herself, to express herself without having to run off, be scared, go to work, ignore her, and pretend that she's fucking crazy and that she's the problem and that she's too much of a fucking feminist.
Why her nervous system is like this.
Our nervous systems are fried because we have been in the dowry system and have been prostituted out and enslaved with children for thousands of years by these cunts, these cults. Okay, I'm not making this shit up. I could go on and on and on for hours, but you have to decide. You, the audience, has to decide what to do next. Are you going to still take it personally, or are you actually going to say, you know what, I don't have to be right. It's not about being right. It's about doing what is good, what is godly for the collective, for you. And if you are not in a good relationship with God, yourself, or women and children, you need to look at yourself right now and ask what you need to do to forgive yourself and change. Because this 4th of July bullshit that we are getting ready to celebrate is keeping you down and low. And I know that that is not where a lot of us want to be. And we don't want to be fighting with each other. Like, come on, this is so ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. I'm so over it. And I'm not the only woman out there that's going to tell you this. And we're not fucking crazy. We're not feminists. We're not man eaters or haters. We're tired of holding the torch.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to step up, and they need the support system to be able to do it. You know, they have to be retaught how to do it. But the first step comes in rethinking what's important in life, you know, and how, like, is wealth and success important, or is having a understanding of my fellow human being the most important thing? And so when there's a shift in that, then we can start to work through the pains that really bring people to the actions that they have. I mean, a lot of people, you know, a lot of men and women, they don't know exactly what they want, and they just follow these desires that lead them into places where they're not a healthy partner. And then people get screwed, and they get left behind, and they get thrown into the corner because the set of values isn't matching. It's like, so the values has to match on that level in order for there to be a healthy container of some kind. And so
I appreciate that, Matthew.
Knowing thyself is the first important part.
Always, right?
This is why we're friends. Because you are a man. Thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, and I appreciate that you do support Mariah and I in many ways that you couldn't even know has been appreciated. You know, because there aren't very many that will back us up. But it's getting more. There's more and more. Like, there's some in the audience that I see you out there. I love you guys. Thank you for showing up. We appreciate you. And maybe you're not told enough, but I know that you probably don't need the recognition because you're so powerful within yourself. You know you got this shit. You know you're the man. But I just wanted to say that I appreciate all of you and thank you so much. Like, you have no idea. And if there's anything that I can do to help, like, support that even further and, you know, nip this shit in the fucking bud once and fucking for all, because this is the time. We are in the 4th turning, man. Shit's gonna hit the fucking fan, and it's gonna get ugly. And right now we need the men to stand and rise in their power and stop with the beer, stop with the porn, stop with, like, your shitty job that takes you from loving yourself and loving your community.
Get out of the cave,
which is you.
Get out of the cave.
Well, and what you just said was pretty important. Like, you know, men need affirmation, because a lot of times men will do a ton of work and then they don't really get recognized for it, because that's kind of just the standard. Like, just do your work and shut up and don't complain. But acknowledgement goes really, really far. Like, just it can touch a man in a way that'll bring him out of the stupor and anger and frustration. Like, it, you know, just saying, like, I recognize you. And it's as simple as that, most of the time, at least to get somebody out of like the monotony of just grinding all the time to be like, oh, okay, I'm recognized. I have some more self-worth. And then that can break that cycle for some people, because a lot of people aren't really recognized, and a lot of people don't take a moment to be like, hey, thanks for being you. You know, thanks for your help today on this or that. But that it goes very far. So thanks for saying that.
Well, you know, and I know that, yeah, of course. And I want you guys to know that, you know, just because you don't hear it all the time, and I know that it's not easy because some of us aren't there yet to not have to have that validation. You know, when you can validate your own like self-worth, then you've won. Not, you know, but I know that it is important to get to there to have that recognition from the external for now. And if you can, I mean, when you really win by yourself saying, I am the man and I got this shit. That's how I'm doing it. You know, I know I'm fucking badass. I'm not perfect,
and that's
but
definitely
I know I'm badass, you know.
That's the pinnacle moment, you know.
Go ahead.
When you get to the, like, when you've got enough self-confidence and you've made it far enough in life to where you have that. And some people just have that like naturally, but you know, for a lot of people that are wounded or healing, or they're stuck in a position where they've been, you know, they might need that extra boost to kind of get out and then be in that safe environment to then come out and be like, okay, I'm worth it. And then it fills itself up, you know, it goes from outward to inward, but they have to kind of cross that threshold first. That might, depending on the person, it might take a while, and their personality. Some people just always hate themselves, and unfortunately that's a recipe for disaster. But so it's like you got to have that self-love.
Right. And I was having this discussion with the men in the group yesterday, because we did have our first kind of official meeting. Like, do we start a support group for men on Telegram that is just for men? Do we have a support group for women, just for women, and that are led by, you know, people that have healed? And then, you know, give opportunity to have men lead, you know, and show them how to lead, and by mentors that are leaders that have, you know, been successfully spiritually, also in God's law, you know, materially and spiritually, because you have to do both in order to get to the material. If you want, you have to go inside to get your spiritual God's law intact, get your straw man, you know. And I want to say thank you to William and Graham. They came in the other day and they just, you know, were really, really awesome. I don't know if they're listening right now. It doesn't really matter if they are, but, you know, I do appreciate that they are willing to come in because they want to. They see the pain, and they have the time. They're like in their 70s, you know, they have the wisdom. And I, you know, Greg was there, you know, as well, and he was asking questions, and he was like, this is great, you know. And so I hope that, you know, other men can, you know, males will come in and feel like they can be in a safe place where you don't have to worry about like being ashamed for addressing these issues of like, I'm fucking tired too, you know. And I'm not saying you guys are bad. It's not about being bad or wrong. It's just, this is what's happened, you know. It's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault. We're all like in the fucking same boat, and we're trying to like help each other get here. And all I'm doing is pointing out the obvious, and that obvious is painful because it's true. So,
yeah, and I think that's a good idea, because everybody needs therapy in a sense, or a room or a place where they can chat and express and be able to talk freely without that judgment, and potentially work on issues that come up too. I mean, because that's the thing, is like when you do get into these topics, sometimes somebody will tell you a truth and it might upset you, but sometimes when you look into the reason of why you're upset, that could be gold. That's gold right there, because usually that traces back to a time where you were hurt, or just, somebody betrayed you or something like that, childhood possibly. And so those are the things that we want to tackle in groups like that, because with restoring those kind of memories from hatred and transitioning them through love, or whatever the process is, then we can open up ourselves to, men can open up to being containers, women can open up to being free, and we can reach a higher state of consciousness, which is above just watching football and going to the state fair and, chasing wealth. And then we can actually be a part of the society that will survive this craziness that's going to unfold between us and between the next couple decades. So it's the shortcut to a better life in many ways.
Thank you for that.
Sure. Shortcut to a better life.
Well, now to break this seriousness, fist pump to all of you out there, and I want Mariah to be able to talk about her CERN stuff and whatever she's got to share as well. Please, Mariah, go.
Sure. Okay. Well, first of all,
what you got?
No, check out this this chart. I wanted to point out, because we just passed the solstice, right? We have. I want everybody to look at the axis Monday. So we are in the center. So that circle, that's you, but that's also the horizon, right? So the AC is at 12 degrees, the DC 12 degrees, and then the MC.
Well, remember, this is the Silby one. This is not hulls. Just to point out.
Right, but I just wanted to point that out, because sometimes these charts will show these, because we are at the solstice where the Earth is tilted away from the Earth. When it's more towards the equinox, you'll see that the MC and the AC, they're going to be at the similar degrees. So when I look at people's natal charts, people's these degrees, sometimes they're quite extreme, and mine are exact. Mine are all at 1 degree, which is interesting. So that was just one thing that I was kind of looking at here, besides all the other things. And remember that the beginning of Aries season, all the planets were in Aries, right? And they've been kind of moving together,
right,
as these stelliums going through the hero's journey a little fast for us to speed stuff up. But this last full moon in Capricorn was kind of like the last kiss goodbye to Capricorn. There's nothing in Capricorn except for that moon, and which will be moving fast and just ushering us more and more into this age of Aquarius. So anyway,
and Uranus has moved into Leo, or excuse me, Cancer.
No.
What? Isn't Uranus in Cancer?
Uranus
or Gemini
is in Gemini, and that's okay. This is what we're going to be talking about.
Oh yeah, I just got out of Taurus. Sorry,
so
guys. I was thinking of Jupiter.
So
Venus,
yesterday, I'm sorry, on the 29th, on Monday, on the 29th, we had CERN. Well, we're going to be talking about this CERN shutdown. God, these headphones are just kind of annoying, so I apologize if I sound weird. CERN shut down, but also throughout the weekend. So on Friday, we had Mars move into Gemini, and then we had this full moon in Capricorn. Well, Mercury went retrograde, and then now, and Uranus moved into Gemini on the 19th of June, I think, during the new moon, something like that. And so what we have coming up, and I'll talk about this too, is a huge conjunction. So everything has been lining up, and I'm telling you, the moon calendar and the lunar calendar have been lining up this year. And this is a big year for the globalists. They pay attention to astrology and this energy. It also kind of happens, right? And so almost it's the other dimensions coming into play, which they are. And so it's important for us to pay attention to it, because we play into it, but it also is playing out. we've talked about the Plutonia timeline. History has already been written. It just had to slow down so we could play it out now. It's already written. It's written in the stars. It's already like, so when we see things being predicted or some of us sense what's coming because we already know the story. We're just playing it out in linear time now. And that's that Plutonian energy. Is that me like vibing out? Anyway, that's something I just wanted to add.
Gotta love this American ride. Both ends of the ozone burning. Funny how the world keeps turning. Look, Mom, no hands. I love this American ride. Gotta love this American ride. Mama gets her rocks off, watching Desperate Housewife. Daddy works his ass off, paying for the good life. Kids on the YouTube learning how to be cool, living in a...
So we had to take a moment here for our sponsor.
Gotta love this America.
Jesus Christ. Wake up, people.
America. Anyway, sorry about that. I thought I'd have a little bit of America vibe coming in here. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Poppy's Field Project. We're talking about the 4th of July, and we're talking about astrology that's been kind of happening alongside of it. And on June 29th, on Monday, when we had a full moon in Capricorn and when Mercury went retrograde and all this stuff. And I remember, I want to say it was Lily. It was either Lily or Oaktown Girl. We were talking, and she's like, hey, she said that CERN was going to shut down on June 29th. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's something going on astrologically. And so CERN shut down, and not for good. And if you don't know, the Lady Marmont and her art, that's why I put up the Marmont with the crutches. If you do not know Angela, the Marmot Lady, and her art, she in 2016, the story is that a marmot snuck into the collider, the Halley's Collider, the Large Halley's Collider in Switzerland, Geneva, Switzerland, and chewed through some wires and shut down the whole collider. And so
That's pretty funny.
Wow.
this is in 2016, April 11th, 2016, if I'm correct. And it threw us into the craziest timeline ever. I think so. In 2016, don't you remember? That's when Trump won the presidency the first time. I've been shadow banned since 2016. We had the Keystone Oil pipeline going up in North Dakota. My Native friends were being like held in dog cages. There was a lot of stuff going on, but look at what was at our life then and our life now, 10 years later. That's 10 years to 2026 now, right? And so CERN is interesting. It looks like a portal. And they turned it on and off. Oh my gosh, excuse me, I need to have something drink. They turned it on and off. And I think that they are harnessing its energy. And then they're constantly upgrading it, which makes sense. So the first one,
because, just like any kind of machine, you have to put in new parts and oil it and give it love.
the first one was in like 1957, supposedly. That was the first one on books. And then they just kept adding. Yeah. It wasn't maybe the Large Hadron Collider, but it was a particle collider called the SC. And then they just kept upgrading. So this recent one, the first operation run was from 2009 to 2013 for this modern one in Switzerland. And there was a couple of the opening ceremonies because they would shut it down, right? And then reopen it. They also opened up the tunnel. And this do you guys ever remember? I really try to I can bring up some videos, but the picture on the right is one of the ceremonies.
Yes.
of when they opened up.
I
a
remember
tunnel.
watching like a thing about this like 7-10 years ago, and I was like, holy shit. It was like one of the first things that ever opened me up to any kind of occult wisdom. And I was like, what is happening right now? But yeah,
Right.
this was in it.
Well, I remember when I first was hearing about it, you know, beyond just the regular scientific purposes, but I remember watching the ritualistic video ceremony for it opening, and Switzerland does these weird cult-like ceremonies. Like they did for the tunnel for CERN. It was, I think you could look it up on YouTube. It is the most bizarre ceremony, and then they do a lot of weird, bizarre, occultic ceremonies, and that's what this picture reminds me of, because it looked just like that. You know, they have like miners with pickaxes and flying demons and all this wild stuff. And I remember a lot of times, like during the time they were doing a lot of experimentation as well, you know, crashing particles into each other. There was a lot of people talking about butterfly effect and the different mandala effects happening, where people were like splitting into these different timelines, where they're like, oh, the Care Bears were this color, or the, you know, my cereal box was that color, whatever, you know, the little differences and stuff. And it's funny because they still come up, but it seems like it kind of went away. Like there was a big convergence or something that happened during that time. But, you know, those machines, if they're what they say they are, then they're definitely not on all the time, because they consume so much electricity. But if they could be used instrumentally during specific dates and times, then they can definitely affect certain timelines and other objects physically. I mean, who knows what they're really up to down there? I feel like it's more than just smashing atoms together.
Well, and what they're doing, I mean, they're playing with quantum physics. They're playing with the photons, you know, like we're way beyond playing with the atoms and the molecule. They're going and trying to train photons, because photons kind of only interact with something just like them, or interact if you pay attention to them. So they plan on having this shut down until 2030. Agenda 2030. And they're upgrading it. And they want it to be more luminous. I swear, they're probably, I think they're going to try to make a new sun, because they're probably, the other one's dead or dying or something. So it's called high lumi, because it's high luminosity. It's so the current one is a large hadron collider. This is going to be the larger hadron collider. The high luminosity is going to be it's going to be called high lumi. High lumi. So what they're doing is they're trying to go into the quantum particles and try to create the superconducting magnets within them, so that they want to control the photons. Photons are hard to control. So what's a superconducting magnet? That's our electromagnetic Earth, right? So to me, it just sounds like they're trying to create another reality of what our electromagnetic toroidal atmosphere, whole Earth toroidal field is. I think they're trying to create a false one. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? But yeah, it's really interesting. If anybody doesn't know what this thing is, what CERN is, please look it up. But yeah, they have this huge
it goes into like a few different state or countries, right?
And they're playing with molecules and photons, and you know, some people think they're creating black holes, but they've shown it on TV. You can create a black hole in a little jar.
Right.
And I think it's portals, and I think they're creating something very, very large, and they're taking this energy, and with all these data centers, right? It's just, and they always seem to like turn it off when there's some sort of astrological like phenomenon going on a little bit. So the fact that they turn on the 29th, and on the 4th here, we're going to have this alignment with Mars and Uranus, which is very disruptive. And so it's kind of like that resting area where it's, watch out, everybody. What do y'all think?
You know, I wonder if they're taking a break because it might go against their own plan. Like if you think about it, there's certain alignments and you have certain energies, you might create something unknown. So maybe it's easier
Well,
to
I
hear
mean,
when things aren't as aligned.
if you think of like the looking glass, theory, you can't stop it. It's coming. But what they're doing in these photographs and it's just a ritual, and it's common. And going back to the masculine energy again, it's common in nature to see the males dancing for the feminine, to seduce the feminine. And so, maybe they already produced a result, and it takes, because the intention doesn't happen right away. I mean, because maybe they are trying to stop something, maybe they're not. To me, it's like, well, we could all just stop it right now if we just chose to respond differently and go back to our natural state and actually start studying and, be more curious about what the feminine energy is, for one, or masculine energy. And it's not about a man or a woman. It has to do with men and women, but it has nothing to do with like the separation of like it's how it comes together is the masculine and feminine. That's how it all works. So I don't know if to me, what they're planning, if they're planning anything, like, it's not that I don't care. It's just like, well, what's it going to do? How much worse can it get? It could be a lot worse. Because the things are really fucking bad right now, even though we may not be feeling it or it's not affecting us.
Check it out.
Which seems like us actually, but it
out.
actually is.
So so when they took all these other pauses, right? I love this. So one of their running operations was April 22nd, 2022. So that's a lot of numerology right there. And it's been running.
Remember we talked about it.
It's been running.
That was like one of our first shows.
Do you know what happened on April 22nd? Well,
1992.
Right?
We talked about it.
But then also it was a full moon in Capricorn. It's always a full moon in Capricorn. It's always a full moon in Capricorn. That's why they always have the bafflement.
Well,
these goats for that like opening ceremony. Yo, Capricorn.
That's the death. If you remember, that's Capricorn. That's the death. That's when everything is being destroyed. So that way, the new, which is what? I mean, if you look at the agenda,
right,
would be more like transhumanism. The Phoenix rising, and actually, if we look at the word Phoenician, it has the word Phoenix in it. And actually, the Phoenix comes up quite a bit. That's why I have in the beginning, the first slide with, our founding father George Washington. It has a phoenix because that is the bald eagle. So, I mean, that's what this fat chubby guy is with this whatever fucking head he has on his face, whatever mask. That's probably one of the rising phoenixes, like symbolisms. And then I put a slide after this one just to kind of show like what it reminds me of is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Is Oompa Loompa.
Oompa Loompas. Oh,
yeah,
totally. Well, that's like
and
Bob
they
the
were
Builder,
even talking about it in that movie, in the story, the Oompa Loompa, doopy dee doo, and they're talking about like, what do you do when you do things that you're not supposed to do?
They're just
right?
mimes.
You're in trouble.
Yeah, and yeah, you get in trouble.
Don't get out of line.
and they dance around, you know, and like.
Oh God, I'm gonna have that song
They're
stuck in my
really-
head all night now.
You're welcome.
Oompa-loompa-doompa-doo-doo.
I might get another one in there. Just wait.
Yeah, so you know, to me, it's like it's like maybe an ending ritual, and now you sit and you wait. You sit and you wait because the manifestation now it takes place, and that's why it's turned off. So again, if that's the case, and we're all concerned that maybe it's a negative, then we need to be doing our extra positive stuff by doing our own work. And you know, the masculine and feminine energy within all of us, because masculine energy is not for men only. It's the left and right hemisphere of your brain is the masculine and feminine energy. It's marrying the two so that way you can be in your truth and get rid of these assholes that are continuing to do this shit. But I don't think that the looking glass, I don't like the Torah has already been written, man. I mean, the supercomputer that the quantum computers that they have right now, they're overdoing the normal computer tenfold, 4,000-fold. Like it's so fucking far more advanced than we could ever imagine. So we're already there. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. It's just what are you going to do about it now? You know? I mean, I don't think
And
that,
which world
what
do
are we
you
going to
want
get
to be
sucked into
in?
a
I
black
think
hole?
that's another thing, you know, when you get into the quantum realm, it's like everything exists. And so the power of the mind really comes into play. And it's like, if you're going to be in a positive state of mind, then those kind of realities will be what you end up gravitating towards. If you're in a negative state of mind, those will be the realities that you'll gravitate towards. And with that coming out in the mainstream more, it gives people more opportunity to actually shape their lives a little bit more. That's part of the wake up that we all need.
I don't agree with you, Radio Suck. I don't think that man requires a woman for perfect balance. That's a bunch of malarkey. Not to offend you or anything like that, but you need to take responsibility. Men need to take responsibility. I've heard men say this in spiritual circles that women need to lead men to their sovereignty or to learn the ways. And I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? No, Matthew, please share that information. Share what you believe in this, because obviously I'm not getting the point across here. What do you think?
I think that, you know, each person is got their own path. However, at the end of the day, no matter what path you take, you have to come back to yourself. The only person that's going to actually free you from any kind of slavery on this planet is going to be yourself. And whether that comes through a woman or a man, it honestly doesn't really matter. But, you know, based on the way somebody is grown up, they might need a woman because maybe they got motherhood issues, or maybe they got girlfriend issues, or maybe that's just what they see as like a higher being or the other piece of the puzzle. And that's fine. But at the end of the day, they might have that companion, but the companion can like hold their hand, but can't cross the finish line for them, you know? So the work has to be done inward. And yeah, I think it's good to maybe have a companion if that's what helps, but also not rely on it. Because if you rely on it, then without it, of course, then you wouldn't actually make it there. So it's like, it's a delicate balance, I would say.
And I agree that there is a joint effort, but you have to do your work. You can't depend on another person, whether it be a man or a woman, to give that to you. You have to make that choice, to make the effort, to actually decide that you're going to make the change within yourself. Because the alchemical marriage of masculine and feminine, all it means is the dissolution process, the putrefaction process, you know, all the different levels of alchemy. It's not literally turning lead into gold. It's talking about the lead within yourself that's heavy and rotting. You need to let it rot and putrefy to alchemically marry the feminine within yourself. the animus and the anima, right? Both male and female need to do this. However, at this time, a lot of women are doing the work. A majority of them are doing it, and it's showing in statistics based on that they're starting to lead. They're they're making more money, they're making more, they're owning their own homes, they're having their corporations, they're more in education than males. And actually, let me go back to looking at this. I wanted to bring this up. Where is it here? Hold on. The suicide rate for men. What is it? Let me look it up.
I think men dominate the suicide side of
They
things.
do. And it's because they're not integrating themselves to their feminine and masculine sides of their brain. And they are getting lost because they are so dependent on being needed by women. Now that women are saying, I don't need that anymore within you. I need you to be present for me. I need you to be a partner. I need you to plan things. I need you to show up. I'm not your maid. I'm not your mother. I'm not the one who's going to make decisions for you. I'm not the one who's going to be your spiritual leader. I'm not going to be your sports analysis. I'm not going to be your caretaker. Women are stepping back and saying no more to that. And so men are like, well, what am I for? Because they've been programmed to be the provider and to be the protector. Well, yes, we need you to protect. Protect the sacred union of yourself.
So they're just
so that way
protecting
you
their
can,
ego and their image.
right. And so the finalized age-adjusted suicide rate for males in the United States was 22.7 per 100,000 in 2023 to CDC. The suicide prevention indicates the rate decreased slightly by 2.2 per 100,000 in 2024. Males account for approximately 80% of all suicide deaths in the USA, and it is consistently 4 times higher than the rate for females. Rates are highest amongst older men, with those aged of 85 and older having the highest rate of 21.4 100,000 per 100,000. And male specific breakdowns often show even higher disparities in this age bracket. And I could go into like the other ones as well, but I don't know anybody. I remember maybe, how long ago was this? Before I moved from Santa Fe. So that must have been like 8 years ago or so. A 13-year-old friend, her son committed suicide. He hung himself in a tree, and yeah, just like that's the only one that I'm familiar with. But I see males suffering every single day. This is why I say these things. I don't say these things because I want you guys to attack me, because I think I'm more superior. It's nothing to do with that. I want you guys to look at what's really going on, and you are being manipulated into a role that is not working. And this is why the astrology itself is saying it's not working anymore. So it's going to be torn down. And are you going to set a new standard for what's coming? Or are you going to, because the old world is dead. You can't bring it back. It's not coming back. You have to decide. You can keep on being this way or not. You can choose to learn how to love yourself and how to love your community. But this CERN shit right here, they're just sitting around waiting for you to fucking keep on feeding them. That's the way I see CERN.
What's interesting about CERN, so this is in Geneva, Switzerland. They have a statue of the dancing Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva
powerful.
represents the divine masculine, even like the masculine side of your brain. And in that alchemical union marriage that Nova was talking about, meets with Lakshmi, right? The divine feminine. And so he is creating that space, and he's dancing on his own ego. He's also
He's smashing it.
some cannabis to get there. But it's interesting, they have this statue in front of CERN. And if you know anything about CERN, like it's that circle anyway, right? And so it kind of is a great symbol for it. And so even the Indian government gave this statue to CERN because they, I mean, there's a lot of Indian doctors and scientists and physicists, but they believed in their work, and it's kind of a global scientist project, and who the F knows who really owns it. But Shiva doing the cosmic dance, right? So in Hindu mythology, this is the Nataraja. The Nataraja. That's when Shiva's actually dancing. Sometimes he's sitting. But he's performing the Tandava, a cosmic dance of creation, preservation, and destruction. So with the Hadron Collider, they are, decomposing atoms. Because, I mean, why not? Why not?
That's all we are, right?
Yeah.
That's all matter.
The atom, yeah. And Eve is that electron,
Destruction.
which is that electricity part of it. So there's way more than just the molecular world, the 3D. And this is what it's like they're showing and they're proving, which I love. These guys have been like creating like black holes.
It's not some occult like scheme.
Right. Well, right. But at the same time, like it's like to be watched. They are playing with things that, creation and
I mean, aren't we already with our consciousness? We're already doing it with our consciousness all the fucking time. So this is just another way of like doing it.
Well, and so
it's the more masculine way.
It's actually seeing it in a physical way rather than knowing it. For the people that need it.
It's scientific. It's the masculine aspect, proving that it can be done, but you don't need the proof. It just happens. Every single thought that goes through your mind, this is why we call predictive programming. It's not predictive. It's already planned. It's already been written down.
Like bow down to it. You accept it. You're like, okay.
I know. Okay. I'm going to bend over. I'm going to bend over the altar. I'm going to get my blessings.
So this is like Through the Looking Glass. I'm obsessed with Alice in Wonderland, Through the Looking Glass, because it's all day metaphor and symbolism, of course. So even through that looking glass, this is like that veil between the physical and the non-physical, and that's even with our brain, the molecular, and then all those synapses and all that like energy going through. That's the feminine energy. The feminine energy is the dark energy, the evil, right? No, it's just the darkness. And so Shiva dances in between that, like dancing for his woman, the divine feminine, to come and join him through that looking glass. So even through that looking glass, Alice goes through a mirror, and she's in like the upside down world. See this with it was like this is with like a tree. There's as above so below. But he dances on his ego and invites the feminine to join him. He holds a container. Yes. He's dancing underneath the moon.
Mm-hmm.
He's dancing for her.
It's a classic description of duality as well. The masculine and the feminine, and that is our reality. It's this male-female polarity of white and black, yes and no, this and that. And this is another example of it. They both need each other in order to complete the whole.
Yeah, and it's not women and men need each other. It's yourself that needs each other. It's the masculine and feminine within yourself. And that masculine is ego. It's that nasty ego, which is the what 5% of the conscious mind. The rest of it is like subconscious. So it's literally showing you that you need to get control of the subconscious and bring it to the conscious mind, bring it to the surface from above, so below, and stomp on that ego, because that ego, man, that's what's creating all of this shit. I mean, everyone that's on Telegram that shares all the death and doom and gloom, for fuck's sake, man, that is why it's existing.
Way to go, my ego. It's my waffle.
It's my ego. It's mine.
Go my way. But and a lot of times, what I've noticed, sadly, and we've probably all done it, a lot of people will go through that ego death, and then they grow another one. And that's when people have that awakening, and they're all like kind of like a spiritual douchebag for a while. They have to kill that ego now. And
what was that, Matthew?
Kill yourself. Anyway.
Oh well, they'll just end up going through the same thing over and over again. You'll learn the same lesson again and again and again. I mean,
you're just finding another mask to put on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like addicts, right? That's what addicts do. They trade one addiction for another addiction.
They get addicted to the reality.
Another crowd. Oh, these guys don't know how terrible I am. Hey, I'm the fun guy.
Yeah, well. But you'll find that a lot of born again Christians were addicts of some kind, and now they're just addicted to the illusion of Christ, and they're still not, coming inside of themselves using the Shakti. The ego's still there, and now they're like, she's a witch.
Yeah, just right. Just replace it with something else. That's why, like, sometimes I'm like, if you're addicted to something, like, try yoga. It's addictive, and at least it's just like exercise. But then sometimes people take it too far, and then all of a sudden they're like this guru yogi, like, whoa.
Did I ever talk about the yoga guy that I was like? I had a class. I was taking like 3-hour classes every day or something like that for a while. And this guy comes in, and I'm like, hey, do you want my mat in my block or whatever? And he's like, no, I'll get my own. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just leave it here or something. He was like, and he flips the fuck out on me. And I was like, whoa, dude. Like I was like, this guy is really flipping out right now. And I mean, I was like, is this really happening? Of course it happened in Santa Fe. But he lost his shit just because I was like, well, okay, and I don't even remember. I wasn't even rude or anything. I was just like, dude, this stuff is right here. Please take it. Why, what's wrong with what you don't feel masculine enough that when someone gives you something that's right here, like you have to go do it yourself? Like, I think that's kind of, I don't know what was going on with that guy that day, but my girlfriend was working there and she was like, what happened? I was like, dude, I have no idea. I was like, I just offered the guy my stuff, and I was like, and I walked away, and he flipped out. So yeah, you can even get addicted to yoga, because that yoga class, everybody would wait outside in line and then rush in to get their spot.
That's hilarious.
Like, kind of stampede over each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's as a yogi myself, so many freaks of every kind.
They are in yoga classes.
It sounds like war outside because there's actual fireworks penetrating the feminine all over. At least it's not it's green here at least, so they can. But
I don't want to talk bad about yoga, because yoga is actually really good. And I took like maybe 6 or 7 different classes, and that was the only one where the weirdos were.
Oh, yoga saved my life. Like it calms my nervous system down. I'm a yoga instructor, but with anything, anybody can get like obsessed with it and like, oh, this is like, my new drug, my new religion, or and then just like, and maybe run with it, which is fine. But then they're growing another ego with what their savior is. And that's what religion does a lot of times, right? People will find something that saves them, but they grow another ego with it. And so with evolution, you have to go through several ego deaths. And, I've watched myself have to do with it. And it's just something to think about. And so
the thing about it too is that
Jumping on his own ego.
It doesn't even know that it doesn't need to, that you no longer need it. That's the thing. It's been so programmed within the DNA, and then your own experience, right, Mariah and Matthew, where that's why you have to keep going after it and keep, because you might have thought
You don't
you
want to kill
slaughtered
it.
it.
You want to tame it. Tame your dragon.
Well, if you look at the astrology, you fucking kill that wolf. You slaughter the lamb, because you're slaughtering the innocence that is like the one that keeps on getting stomped over.
That's true. If you keep
gets
it
eaten by the
alive,
wolf.
it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there. That's why the zodiac talks about. It repeats over and over and over again. It goes over the state of like how we grow through the constellations, like the deacons, right? And because it literally goes all the way until you go to Pisces. You have to slay and conquer every single ego. I like how you brought that up.
Yeah, and like we talked about, there's many pathways to that too, and it's in one way or another, whenever we get close, there'll have to probably be some kind of death of some kind, and which is again a challenge, because in this world, the ego is a tool for us to achieve different things and navigate the world and have relationships and such. But then when we have to say it doesn't matter, it doesn't even really exist, it's not even real, that ego death is like one of the most humbling experiences, because you take everything you built up and construct it into the self, and you have to let it go and say it's okay. It's not the end all be all. And so you can have, and that can happen with anybody. You could have that, it could happen to a billionaire or a hobo or a guy at yoga camp or the guy that runs the bakery, and it might not be the guy at the yoga camp or whatever.
It's the guy at the bakery with the donuts.
Right?
I know his tricks.
Sure.
But a lot of it too is the ego. Just shut the fuck up. Like, stop and listen. Why do you always got something to fucking say? That's very feminine.
A lot of people have nothing to say. I'm like, like, so
that's really good feeling.
You have the people that want to be teachers, right? They want to be teachers, but they're not quite there yet. But they think they know it all, and so they got to say their fucking piece instead of just listening. Instead of like, they're distracted, so their constant ego is like, look at, there's this, talk about that, point this out, do this now. It's a constant. Now just try to sit in silence. And I want you to try to like actually meditate. See if you could like sit and like without any kind of thought for maybe 2 seconds. Or I bet you most of you couldn't do it for 10 minutes without one single thought.
A lot easier said than done.
Because your ego is constant.
It's hard.
It's practice. You have to practice every single day. Every single fucking day. 6 months to a year. Every single day. Dedicate yourself. Otherwise, that ego is just still like, I'm important. I'm important. I have something to say. Look at me. Look what I can do. I know what I'm talking about. You don't. I'm right. You're wrong. You're wrong. I'm right. Blah, 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 blah. We're all guilty of it.
And the thing is, too, it's like when you're in that practice, it's like, don't beat yourself up if those thoughts come up. It's okay. It's just you let it flow like a river. You let them flow in and then out, and then not attached to it. And that's a part of the practice that's important too, is not beating yourself up that you're having thoughts, just being aware and then watching them, not attaching to them when they come up. And that self-recognition there is also practice itself.
This is why I don't like to really talk after the show, man. Like I'm like, people want me to, like, especially like men that want to date or something. They're like, oh, I could learn so much from you. I'm like, I don't want to be your teacher. I'm sorry.
free?
I just really don't want to talk to you.
For free?
Yeah, they want it for free. I mean, I do this right now because I'm learning.
Oh yeah.
But Mariah and, I are going to start some
and then they'll go inspire some other
workshop.
bitch with the knowledge they took from you.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck that. Nope. I'm like, oh, you do? Well, bye. I'm not your teacher.
Yeah,
you're the masculine here. I'm not your container. I'm not your teacher. Like, I don't know what that is about. I've had so many. Oh, you're interesting. Oh, you mean you want to take my soul and suck it out?
Yeah, you
for
sound
yourself?
like an energy vampire.
Exactly. That's what every single one of them have done.
I want your light.
And
I want
I've
your light.
learned.
You can't have my light. I can shine a light on your light. You can't have my light.
Yeah.
And people get attracted to the light,
No.
but then they get mad when they can't have it.
Yeah, or they get burned like a moth, right?
It's my present. Yeah. What?
They're an insect. They come in.
Cold-blooded insect
this one's gonna
that
burn
needs
you.
your warm blood and light.
Yeah, and this one burns.
That's
you
why
come
we
in
are
close enough.
very
it's gonna,
important as humans. That's why we're constantly being sought after.
Yeah,
well, that's why these podcasts are always streamed. You know, you can always, for anybody that needs extra, you can always go back to the one of 4 or 5 years worth of that we've been talking about. The info's out there.
Well, this has been fun, you guys. Is that what we got for today? What are we gonna do next
it's all
week?
froze up anyway. I had some more stuff, but I'm very tired as well. It's been a long.
Yeah, I'm sleepy too.
It's been
all this talking,
but yeah. No, this was good. I wanted to end with a little bit of America, but that's all right. Like Canva's not being my friend today. I think I had too many like copyright stuff going on. I don't know.
America. Well, happy 4th, everybody. Are you guys doing anything for the 4th or no?
Well, I'm
going to be in.
I'm back in the north, so I hope I better be on a boat on a lake somewhere, hopefully, or something. It looks nice here.
I'm going to be meditating and like I'm actually starting my fast again, you guys, because I got my supplements. I took them for 7 days. I needed them, so I may not be able to make it next week again, just because I don't know where the fuck because I am going to be doing a dry fast again, and I might be doing it 7 days or 11 days. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But yeah, so I apologize if I do not show next week, but I will be here. You know, just because I'm not really supposed to speak when I'm dry fasting.
So I do want to talk a little bit about the like Mars, and so on the 4th, Mars and Jupiter. Was the next slide. Mars and Jupiter. Not Jupiter. Mars and Uranus are coming into an alignment at 3 degrees in Gemini, and that's on July 4th. July 4th this year is also the 250th birthday of our dear Lord False Nation here.
Oh my!
So it's the semi-centennial.
Oh shit!
So there's Uranus
that's when the Revolutionary War started afterwards.
That's right.
Shit.
The last time this alignment happened in Gemini, so Mars and Uranus will line up about every 2 years because Mars moves pretty fast. Uranus moves really slowly. The last time that they aligned like this close, in Gemini was in 1947. And the other part I wanted to bring up is that it's also Uranus return for a great country of America. So Uranus returns. So when it was founded and born in 1776, it's had a couple of Uranus returns. So 84 years. It's not only 250 years of a great America country. Woo! They're great founding fathers, but it's also another Uranus turns another 84 year, and it is conjuncting with Mars on the 4th of July. And I think it's really interesting that they turned off CERN on Monday when there was a full moon, when Mercury went retrograde, because knowing all this stuff is coming up. So Uranus brings very abrupt changes. You're not gonna Like,
Yeah. No, it's gonna.
so
Well, it's
that's
short and
for
quick
everybody. And
because
Mars is about
Mars is a
conflict,
quickie. He's a
war,
2 pump chump.
aggression, ego, right? So don't fall for it. Don't fight with people. Don't, because they want us to be in confusion and to not be united, but to fight each other, right? We don't know what's going to happen. So just ride the wave. Something unexpected in your life will probably happen on a large scale or a small scale to daunt you into something else. It's like divine intervention a little bit. It might not be comfortable.
It's a good one.
It might be for your.
It's not going to be comfortable at all.
Watch out,
Growing
Uranus.
pains is not supposed to be not supposed to be soft and nice and cuddly. It's going to be a grizzly bear that's stinky and has claws, and it's going to be swift and heavy. So watch out, you guys. Like, growing pains is painful for a reason. We've been too soft for too long, so here it comes, you guys. It's coming. I'm not here to be the fear monger. It has nothing to do with that. It's just you go back into the history. All you gotta do is look, and it's there. So, but you get to choose how you get to respond to it. So awesome. We'll figure out what we're gonna do next week. Maybe something will come up out of that. I mean, sometimes it takes like a month or two, but I'll keep an eye out and see what's gonna be happening in the world. But we appreciate all of you for coming in and saying hello and hanging out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit back and work on myself, do some really good intentions, meditate, do some hemisinks, work on astral travel within my own realm, within dreams, because dream states are like the best. That's where you can have a chance to always wake up the next day and start over again and have an actual new perspective on life instead of carrying the old shit with you. So just remember that you can bring that with you every single day. It's just a choice.
Well, and Neptune has been playing a big role too. Being in Aries, like you said, it's like so I was so tired all weekend during that full moon buildup and stuff, and Neptune was kind of playing an interesting role, bringing maybe some of us into that dream state so we could work out some of our problems and issues in the subconscious. And it's in Aries, so it's that Fool, right? We're rewriting our destiny here with Neptune, dream state.
Yeah, we have an opportunity to do that. Instead of being the victim all the time. Let's change it up. I'm ready. I'm ready for something new. I'm so bored with this. It's already dead. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Let's do the next thing.
It's like kicking a poor dead street. No one wants to do that.
No more. Done with movies, done with popcorn, done with drama. Now what? I'm ready for the next thing. Let's make something wonderful and beautiful together. So, well, until next week, you guys, thank you for all hanging out. We've been going for 2.5 hours. And I know that's why I'm feeling a little cross-eyed. But we'll see what we're going to come up with next week. We get together each Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. We are gathering on Poppies for Project podcast, or not podcast, Telegram group, the channel, not the group. Where there's going to be males leading God's law and teaching workshops, and I know William is going to be talking about some etymology.
Your mic blurted out.
Yeah, you're a little muffled.
I don't know why it's muffled, but yeah.
There you go.
Support group, God's Law, Telegram, Poppies for Project. 11 a.m. Pacific time. Wherever you are, look at the clock and figure it out. You have Google, fuck Google, but you have Brave browser or some kind of search engine or AI. Figure out the time if you want to come in and support males, supporting males to help each other and women. So love you all, and we hope you have a good night. And I'm losing my mind right now. I can't even think about what to say at the end. Good night, everybody. Sweet dreams.
Good job.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.